else is thinking.
I'm dedicated to it. I can't be stopped.
3, 2, 1. Hey, look, everybody. It's the guitar player from Detroit. It's the inventor of Detroit muscle, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, soul music, mostly because I escape the status quo of the rock and roll world, and I actually manage my projectiles. So here it is, approaching fall of 2024. We like to refer to it as 20 Cluster Funk 24. Now, see, I can say cluster funk me, cluster funky, but I escape the cluster funk all around by getting my Matthews bow, and right here, right next to my son Rocco and my friend Steve, you notice that they're not scared, they're not nervous, even though the Motor City Madman is armed with a dangerous projectile management apparatus. And even as they relax and calm down right here, I'm gonna draw my bow, graceful, like Ishi, and I'm going to manage my projectile. Welcome back to the Ted Nugent Real America's Voice Spirit Campfire. And as soon as my friends at Real America Voice let me use all street slang, it's gonna be kinda Real America Voice. Sorta, almost Real America's Voice. But my name is Ted Nugent and I'm stoned on freedom. I'm like inebriated on liberty. I have life, liberty, and the pursuit of gonzo happiness. Don't settle for happiness. Go for gonzo happiness. If you're not worn out at the end of the day, you blew that day. Now, you can be comfortable without being numb. So I'd like to welcome my son, Rocco Winchester Moonbeam Nugent. Do you use is that your birth certificate? Does it say Moon?
Just Winchester.
Rocco Winchester Nugent, named after the gun that won the West. Maybe he's the son that won the West, and his buddy and my buddy, Steve Smith from the wilds of Oregon. Welcome, my friends.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's like Beavis and Butthead and Farnsworth. So we're in the man cave cuckoo's nest. Rocco, you know I love you.
Love you.
Does that float your boat every day, doesn't it?
It does.
You float my boat.
Yes.
Steve, since you've been welcomed into the inner Nugent circle, you're a boat floater.
Here we go.
You're a positive guy.
It's good times.
God, family, country, work ethic, law and order.
All those good things.
Good over evil, all that radical stuff. We're so radical. If we were in Europe, we'd probably go to a new land and start an experiment in self-government, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
So simple. Even the guitar player can figure it out. So, Steve, what brings you to Michigan? I know we had a great meeting. We're always working on stuff. Are you people always working on stuff? We're always working on stuff. We get up in the morning, we go, holy Mother McCree, I'm gonna work on some stuff. So we've got, you make your own clothes, Rocco, right? I mean, you and Belle, his fiance, when are you guys getting married?
Soon. We'll let you know.
Don't do it during the rut. I've already got to go down to Houston. All my kids, don't get married during the rut. Sasha got married during the rut, and I went to St. Bart's. And what do you do on the beach? What can you do on a beach?
No deer hunting.
No, they can't even shoot a shark. So you guys are working on, we met with Greg of Morel Shoes. By the way, everybody goes, I knew you wears Crocs on stage. Never wore a Croc on stage, ever. Morel's from Rockford, Michigan, real Michigan. Greg and Jan from upstate New York, now working with Greg and Morel.
Yes. Is it Morel or Merrill?
Merrill. Well, Merrill has morals.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we got all these awesome Ted Nugent hats. I know we have to block out that dangerous word, but you can get these autographed hats. I'm blocking it out for you with my middle finger. Does that mean you have to block out my middle finger? Have you ever noticed on TV when somebody gives the middle finger, they block it out? Like if they didn't block it out, someone would get hurt? What? They're not the same species as we are. So anyhow, so you can get these hats. So we got a little bit of a clothing thing going on. Ooh, and that one too, you can't. See, that's so stupid. They're gonna have to block out the S word. These are autographed, and of course this one, I have to block the hell out of that one. Which side do I have to block out? You can get these autographed hats at tednugent.com. And if you wear one of these, the best people in the world will approach you and tell you that they love you, and heathens will run and hide. So what kind of dreams in the clothing world. You know, I come from downriver Detroit, Skunk Hollow, the Rouge River. Will it be called Downriver or Rouge River? If we cultivate.
I think downriver is a pretty strong word, and Steve is a downriver guy. Other than, you know, crafting shoes at a very high level, you know, he hand makes guitars.
You do, Steve.
Hand works with motors.
Since I was 16.
Woodworking.
Yep.
I have an arrow rack in the barn over here that I made from Mr. Tucker, my woodworking teacher. We had woodworking at Cook Junior High. It was a woodworking. They don't have woodworking classes anymore, do they?
No, we had elementary and middle school woodworking.
Yes,
classes.
and what a great craft. Everybody you take a hammer around to schools in America, the kids wouldn't know which end to grab.
We even had metal forging and casting in middle school.
We had marksmanship. We had brought our rifles to school. So what a strange world we live in today. But anyhow, so with our Merrill team, not just shoes, are you shooting for a clothing line? Rouge River, Downriver, Ridge Runner, Skunk Hollow, what great terms.
We want to make something. This is the phrase that captured my imagination. If Fred Bear was 30 in 2030, what would he want to go out into the middle of nowhere with? And I'm pretty sure it's probably what you would want to wear too.
We have photos of Fred Bear. By the way, Fred Bear Day, we're unveiling the Fred Bear statue in Grayling, Michigan on September 7th. Everybody should be there. Grayling, Michigan, September 7th, the unveiling of the life-size bronze Fred Bear statue. Go to fredbearday.com. But it's interesting because Fred died in 88. You were born 2 years later, but you've heard so many of my exciting, loving, passionate stories about Fred that you know that he and our hunting culture represent down-to-earth, organic, environmentally beneficial lifestyles. Hunting, fishing, trapping, ranching, farming, environmental awareness, stewardship. How did you translate my stories of Fred Bear into the pursuit of a clothing line or a lifestyle, and I think it's more of a lifestyle that just happens to have clothes, that references nature?
I know you don't approve of piercings and tattoos, although
Well, I think I approve, but not for me.
You probably approve of the one that says "aim small, miss small."
Yes, my son had, and I don't condemn it. I just don't partake.
Understood. And I've heard so much myth and ethos and story and legend of how Fred impacted you, but also, you know, Ishi and the idea of samurai and Too Many Mind. And
yes.
I've wanted to tell a story of how, you know, to be downriver means you don't piss. You don't do stuff to nature, and you wouldn't piss in the river because you know your friends are downriver. So
yes.
You act in accordance with nature.
Yes.
You don't throw your litter out into the woods when you got trash you need to get rid of. And I was in Japan recently, and everyone takes care of their own trash.
Yes.
You have to take your trash
like
home.
the Nugent family.
Yeah, you've raised me in a way that makes me conscientious and conscious of nature, as if I'm not separate from nature.
You have a responsibility to it.
To it and with it. I'm part of it.
Yep, you are it. You are nature.
If you follow through in that lifestyle, you act in accordance as being part of nature. So to be a steward and to be one with it, so clothing, footwear, I think we can take that story and, there's probably a lot of different ways that we can execute it in design, but Steve is a mentor and executes, a bunch of different styles of design thinking into products.
And Steve, with your history of clothing lines for some very famous people, what do you think of this concept? I mean, the famous people you worked with weren't necessarily originally aware of their role as nature, but they morphed into it and rediscovered that, and you address that in your clothing line. Is that true?
I mean, definitely be aware of the world around you and protect it. It's very funny that, we're conservators of this world and nature, so why not? That's what's interesting.
Of course.
about
In
it
fact,
all.
I think it's a mandate. If you really are aware of the gift of life and show appreciation for it, then you will always tread lightly and leave your vapor trail cleaner than when you found it. And Texas Texas, you might want to consider that. Texas is the most trash littered ghetto I have ever seen in my life. I love Texas, but they drive down the streets here in Michigan, zero trash. In Texas, you can't spit without hitting trash. I mean, it's almost like it's a landfill with highways. And they'll be, oh, that's ridiculous, Ted. It certainly is. Am I right? Sofas and refrigerators and boxes and trash blowing all over the place.
Steve has a cool idea he's been mentioning lately of how, you put your own words to it, but
Sorry, I'm trying to find a place to put my arm. I'll put it on Steve.
Of how, you know, the conservatives have basically become the new hippies.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, conservatives.
Well, that's, yes, conservation.
Exactly.
Constitution.
Taking care of things and taking care of the world, taking care of the environment.
But we've always been that way. It's just that the media was leaning hard left all along. They would make up lies. Think of the lies they make about Donald Trump, the lies they make about me, the lies they make about Republicans. They want to run your grandma off the cliff because they won't take care of her medicine. So I wish you guys luck. Do you think it'll be called the Rouge River brand or Downriver brand?
Downriver.
Definitely downriver, you know, and I even, a lot of it really interests me. I mean, I grew up in an old mill city in Massachusetts along what was called the Mill River. And that's what it was about. We saw all the effluent, the garbage and everything from the mills, and they finally cleaned it up. And we lived down, you know, halfway downriver by the mills, but then all of it dumped into Fall River, into the ocean.
So if you people know people who litter, stop them, fix them. Steve Smith, Rocco Winchester Nugent, and Uncle Ted. I'll be right back with more Truth, Logic, and Common Sense.